There comes a moment when silence screams louder than sound. When the buzz of the world fades, and for a split second you feel it. That ache, that hunger, that quiet question no one else can hear, is this really it? You've been grinding, pushing, scrolling, comparing, wishing, hustling, but still feel like you're stuck in a loop you didn't sign up for. Let me be brutally honest with you. You're not stuck. You're just distracted. You're not behind. You've just been hypnotized, paralyzed by the noise, paralyzed by the likes, paralyzed by the opinions of people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. Every day, you wake up with a soul that wants to run, but a mind that checks notifications first. You used to dream big, unapologetically, but somewhere along the way you started shrinking, to fit in, to be accepted, to be liked, and you didn't even realize it. You gave your focus to the world, and now you don't recognize yourself in the mirror. Let me ask you, when was the last time you looked in the mirror and liked who was staring back? Not because of how you looked, but because of what you were building. See, focus is your most expensive currency, and you've been spending it like it's free. You've been pouring your energy into people who drain you, into fears that lie to you, into scrolling through highlight reels that make you question your worth. You've been overdosing on noise, starving for clarity, but not anymore, because this isn't just another motivational video. This is your intervention, your moment to snap out of it. You don't need a breakthrough. You need a blackout, a shutdown of every distraction that's been feeding your doubt. This is where everything changes, not because the world calms down, but because you learn how to calm your mind in the middle of its chaos. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need another inspirational quote on your feed. You need you, awake, locked in, focused like your future depends on it. Because it does. Let the world scroll, let them chase likes, let them gossip, let them doubt you. You're going inward, you're going silent, you're going savage on your own growth. And when they look up, you won't be where they left you. You'll be unrecognizable, not because you faked a glow up, but because you earned it. You've heard it before, focus on yourself. But let's be honest, most people don't even know what that truly means. They think it's selfish. They think it's lonely. They think it's about isolation, cutting people off, or becoming some lone wolf hustler. But they're wrong. Focusing on yourself isn't about pushing the world away. It's about pulling yourself out of the noise long enough to hear your own voice again. It's about reclaiming your power, your time, and your energy from the thousands of things you never consciously gave permission to drain you. In the next hour, we're not just going to talk about self-improvement. We're going to dissect the real reasons you feel stuck, exhausted, and behind in a world that demands your attention but offers no peace. This is the moment you stop living life on autopilot and start showing up with intention. This isn't a hype session. This is a reckoning. First, we'll expose the distraction epidemic, the invisible force stealing your time, energy, and self-worth. Then we'll dismantle the myth of being stuck and show you how most of your limitations are mental shackles, not physical ones. Next, we'll break down why energy is your most sacred resource and how to stop leaking it into people, problems, and past pain. We'll dive deep into habits, validation traps, the addiction to external approval, and the discipline that builds real, lasting success. We'll show you how to live intentionally instead of reactively. And finally, we'll challenge you with one powerful 30-day shift that could realign your entire life. So don't just listen, lean in, take notes, pause and reflect. This is your blueprint to break free from the noise, reclaim your focus, and finally become the version of yourself you've been postponing for far too long. There's a fog in your life, and it didn't come out of nowhere. It's been creeping in slowly, disguised as entertainment, comfort, just checking something real quick. You don't notice it at first because distraction doesn't show up with a warning label. It shows up with a ping, a scroll, a harmless swipe. But make no mistake, distraction is a thief. It's been robbing you blind, taking seconds off your purpose, stealing hours from your destiny. The world today is addicted to distraction. And the scariest part, most people don't even realize they've become junkies. You wake up, and before you even feel your breath, your thumb reaches for the screen. Notifications. Noise. 100 updates on lives that aren't yours. You start your day already behind in a race that doesn't belong to you, and it feels normal because everyone's doing it. But normal isn't working. We've confused constant stimulation with living. We've mistaken noise for necessity. And the cost: clarity, vision, peace. You can't hear your own calling because it's drowned out by everyone else's highlight reel. You scroll past success stories and silently tell yourself you're not enough. You start your morning in comparison mode and spend the rest of the day trying to feel worthy. And we wonder why we're tired, why we're anxious, why our goals keep slipping further away. We say we don't have time, but somehow we had 2 hours to scroll and none to plan. We say we're overwhelmed, but we let a dozen strangers live rent-free in our minds. This isn't just poor time management, it's spiritual sabotage. You are not overwhelmed because you're doing too much. You're overwhelmed because you're giving energy to the wrong things. That's the epidemic, that's the addiction. That's what's keeping you stuck in a cycle of consumption instead of creation. You weren't born to be passive. You weren't born to watch others live while you hesitate. Your soul is starving, not for more information, but for intention. You were built to build, wired to grow, called to create. But instead of tending to your own garden, you're lost in the weeds of everybody else's lawn. And deep down, you know it. You feel it when you lay in bed at night. Your mind restless from a day spent doing everything except what actually mattered. You feel it in your body, the tension, the exhaustion, the unease that lingers even after a full night's sleep. Because rest doesn't come from doing less. It comes from doing what aligns. And nothing drains you faster than living out of alignment. Every time you say yes to things that don't serve you, you're saying no to the life you want. Every time you open your phone instead of your journal, you're choosing distraction over direction, and the world loves it that way. Because distracted people are easy to control. They buy more, fear more, doubt more. But the second you get intentional with your focus, you become dangerous. You become unshakable. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop scrolling and start building. You stop reacting and start creating. That's the shift. It's not about deleting all your apps or moving to a mountain in the Himalayas. It's about one decision, one powerful decision, to guard your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. You can't create a masterpiece if you're always interrupted. You can't rebuild your mindset with your attention shattered in 10 directions. Focus isn't about productivity. It's about identity. What you focus on shapes what you become. And if you're always focused on what's missing, what's wrong, and what they have that you don't, you'll never realize what's already in your hand. The most successful people aren't the most talented. They're the most focused. They've learned to filter the noise. They know that clarity doesn't come from the outside. It's forged in silence. It's found in solitude. And if you can't sit with yourself for 5 minutes without reaching for your phone, then maybe that's the first battle you need to win. Because if your peace is that fragile, how will your purpose ever survive the pressure? You're not stuck because you lack time. You're stuck because you lack space. Mental space, emotional space, spiritual space. You're stuck because you've let the urgent overrule the important. But today that changes. Today you reclaim your power by reclaiming your attention. You create sacred space in your day where no one else's voice can enter. You wake up and pour into yourself before you pour into the world. You silence the noise, not because you're weak but because your calling is too loud to be ignored. And as you do, something amazing happens. You start remembering who you are, not the version of you the world shaped. Not the watered-down identity shaped by likes and views, the real you, the focused you, the driven you, the version of you that doesn't need permission to shine. Because here's the truth. Your future isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be present. Not present online, present with yourself, present with your purpose, present in your process. You can't fix what you won't fix. And you can't build while being buried under a mountain of distraction. So cut the noise, starve the scroll, tune out the timeline, and tune in to what actually matters. Because the world doesn't need another person trying to be everything for everyone. It needs you to be fully you, locked in, lit up, laser focused. You don't need more motivation, you need less distraction. And when you master that, you become unstoppable. You weren't stuck, you were just facing the wrong direction. Life has a cruel way of convincing us that our chains are real, when all along they were made of paper. You thought you were trapped, limited, boxed in by your circumstances, your failures, your fears, but none of that was the truth. The truth is you were misaligned. Your actions were not in sync with your vision. Your habits didn't echo your hopes. Your time didn't serve your purpose. You weren't broken. You were just busy being everything except who you were called to be. And that dissonance, that constant discomfort you couldn't quite name, that was your soul screaming for realignment. Because you weren't born to survive. You were built to rise. And yet somewhere along the road, you stopped rising and started running from pressure, running from pain, running from the responsibility of becoming your higher self. But misalignment will always feel like depression. It will wear the mask of exhaustion, the weight of frustration, the numbness of confusion. It will convince you that you're a failure when all you really are is off track. You're not unworthy, you're just misdirected. And the longer you avoid the truth, the louder the ache gets. Your body feels it, your chest tightens, your energy fades, your spark dims, not because you're weak but because your spirit is suffocating in the wrong environment. You're showing up every day to a version of life that doesn't feed you. You're hustling for goals that aren't yours, pleasing people you don't even like, following a path someone else designed. But here's the twist. Realignment doesn't begin with doing more, it begins with stopping. Stopping long enough to ask the hard questions. What do I actually want? Who am I outside of what they expect? What parts of my daily routine are draining my soul instead of fueling it? You'll never feel powerful in a life that isn't built for you. You'll never feel alive while playing dead inside routines that were designed to please others but betray yourself. You keep saying you're stuck, but maybe you've just ignored the signs for so long that confusion has become your normal. Maybe your intuition whispered until it lost its voice. Maybe your body has been rebelling because your mind refuses to listen. And now it's screaming through anxiety, screaming through burnout, screaming through your deep, desperate need for change. But here's the grace in it all. Misalignment isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the wake-up call. It's the crack in the illusion that lets the light get in. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize that your stuckness was self-inflicted, you unlock your power. The power to pivot, the power to change direction, the power to redesign your life in your image, not in theirs. You don't have to blow everything up overnight. You don't have to disappear into the mountains to find clarity. You just have to start saying no to what no longer fits. You have to get brutally honest about where you've been lying to yourself. You have to take inventory of your alignment, your relationships, your career, your habits, your thoughts, and ask, do these things point me toward who I'm becoming or anchor me to who I was? Because the version of you who feels stuck cannot unlock the life you're dreaming about. You need to evolve. You need to realign. You need to come back to center. That means setting boundaries that make other people uncomfortable but make your soul breathe again. That means making decisions that don't make sense to the world but feel like home to your spirit. That means letting go of the need to be understood and choosing instead to be authentic. Because freedom isn't found in external validation, it's found in internal clarity. And when you get clear, so clear that your soul stops twitching and starts dancing again, you will finally understand that your power was never gone. It was just tangled in the chaos, buried beneath layers of distraction, expectation, and old identities that no longer serve you. You were never waiting on a perfect moment. You were waiting on alignment. You were waiting to finally come back into sync with your truth, and that starts now, not next week, not when you're ready, not when it's convenient, because every minute you spend living a misaligned life is a minute stolen from the one you were born to live. So stop settling, stop shrinking, stop pretending that confusion is your natural state. It's not. You're not lost. You're being rerouted, but rerouting only works if you're willing to take the exit. So take it. Step off the autopilot path and start walking in the direction of your design. You won't have all the answers, but you will have alignment, and alignment will give you something far more powerful than certainty. It will give you peace. It will give you energy. It will give you back your rhythm, your intuition, your flow, and from that place, you will move like you were always meant to. You'll stop forcing and start flow. You'll stop chasing and start choosing. You'll stop breaking down and start breaking through. Because when you're aligned, life doesn't get easier. You get stronger, focused, unapologetic, and finally, energy. That's your real wealth. Not money, not time, not even talent. Because without energy, you can't use any of those things. You can have all the time in the world, but if your spirit's drained, your mind's cloudy, and your body's heavy, you'll waste it. You can be a genius, but if your energy is leaking, your ideas will drown before they breathe. What no one told you is this: success isn't just about what you do, it's about what you're able to do repeatedly without breaking. And that depends on how you manage your energy. Think about it. Every complaint you entertain, every grudge you carry, every conversation you replay in your mind 100 times, it costs you. Every moment you obsess over someone else's timeline or seek approval from people who don't matter, it costs you. Every toxic relationship you maintain out of fear, obligation, or habit, it costs you. You think you're just living, but you're bleeding power. Bit by bit, day by day, you're not burnt out because you're doing too much. You're burnt out because too much of what you're doing doesn't serve you. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you've been hustling for things that don't matter and ignoring the things that do. You wake up already tired because your mind never clocked out. You give and give and give to drama, to opinions, to timelines, to distractions, and then wonder why there's nothing left for your dreams. This isn't about working harder. This is about protecting your fire, because if you don't, the world will burn it out, and it won't even apologize. It'll call you lazy, call you crazy, call you unmotivated, but you're not unmotivated. You're misused. You've become the battery for everyone else's machine, and now your light is dimming. But you can take it back. You can reclaim your energy like it's sacred, because it is. It always was. You don't owe everyone your attention. You don't have to answer every call, reply to every text, respond to every emergency that isn't yours. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're survival. You've got a dream that needs fueling, a vision that needs you full, not fragmented, a destiny that needs your clarity, your focus, your strength. And none of that will come if you keep leaking energy into dead things. So take inventory. What conversations leave you empty? What habits keep stealing your spark? What just 5 minutes scrolls turn into an hour of comparison and self-doubt? What environments make your chest tight and your soul heavy? Start there. Start protecting your energy like your future depends on it. Because it does. This isn't just spiritual talk. This is neuroscience. This is biology. This is your nervous system screaming for space. You weren't built to constantly consume, respond, perform, explain, adjust, apologize. You were built to create, to lead, to move with peace. And peace comes from power, not power over others, but power over yourself, your emotions, your attention, your yes, and your no. And listen, I get it. The guilt shows up fast. The fear of missing out. The fear of disappointing people. The voice in your head that says you can't just pull back. You'll fall behind. But let me tell you something loud and clear. You fall further behind every day you neglect yourself for the sake of staying connected to a system that's draining you. You fall behind when you try to be everything to everyone and nothing to yourself. You fall behind when you silence your needs just to keep the peace. That's not peace. That's quiet suffering, and it's costing you your future. But not anymore. Today is the day you say no. not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. No to the people who only show up when they need something. No to the habits that leave you numb. No to the narratives that say burnout is a badge of honor. It's not. It's a warning sign. It's your body begging you to stop betraying it. And when you listen, really listen, you'll find something beautiful under all that noise. Strength, focus, passion, direction. It's been there all along, waiting for you to stop leaking and start leading, waiting for you to step into the truth that you are your most valuable resource. Your mind, your heart, your breath. That's where success starts. That's where love begins. That's where purpose is born. And if you keep trading that away for the temporary hit of validation or distraction, you'll wake up a stranger to yourself. Don't let that happen. Protect your mornings like sacred ground. Guard your evenings like holy time. Build space in your day where no one else gets access. Just you, your thoughts, your intentions. Let your energy be filtered through clarity, not chaos. Choose what you give your power to. Be ruthless about it, because the world will always demand more of your time, your energy, your soul. But you, my friend, were not made to be consumed. You were made to create. And when you finally honor your energy like the currency it is, you'll stop wasting it on what drains you and start investing it in what builds you. That's when everything changes. That's when you rise. Success doesn't arrive in a flash of lightning. It grows in the silence, in the small moments when no one's watching, in the tiny choices that seem too insignificant to matter, but matter more than anything else. You keep waiting for a breakthrough, some divine explosion of motivation that flips the switch forever, but that's not how this works. The people who win really win, don't wait for lightning. They build fires, one matchstick at a time, one decision, one habit, one tiny act of self-respect, repeated until it becomes who they are. Because big legacies are not born from big leaps. They're built from small wins stacked like bricks. Day after day, you want to change your life? Forget the hype. Forget the all or nothing mindset. Forget the overnight success stories. Start small, start now, start with the next hour, not the next year, not the next decade, not someday, now. Drink water instead of soda, read a page instead of scrolling, do 5 push-ups, meditate for 2 minutes, keep a promise to yourself. That's how discipline is born, not from forcing, but from following through. You don't become a machine overnight, you become reliable one micro commitment at a time, and those commitments, they're not random, they're the reps that rewire your identity. Every time you show up, even in a small way, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become, and eventually those votes turn into belief, and belief turns into momentum, and momentum turns into mastery, but most people never get there. Why? Because they quit when it's still invisible. They plant a seed and dig it up every day, wondering why it hasn't grown. They work out for a week and quit because they don't see a six-pack. They journal for 3 days and stop because clarity didn't fall from the sky. But that's not how anything works. You don't eat one healthy meal and expect to be fit. You don't apologize once and expect to heal years of damage. Progress is quiet at first. It's hidden, like roots underground, stretching deep before anything shows above the surface. And the ones who succeed are the ones who trust the process long enough to see it bloom. That's the game. Not hype, not instant gratification, but faith in the tiny, the quiet, the repetitive, the boring. You think greatness is found in the highlight reels, but it's born in the parts no one claps for. When you choose to stay in, wake up early, say no, show up tired, show up afraid, show up imperfect, because showing up is the win. Do it enough times and you become someone who always shows up. And when that happens, you're not chasing discipline anymore. You are discipline. You're not begging for motivation. You are momentum. And from that foundation, anything is possible. That's how empires are built. Not in a rush, but in rhythm. One solid brick a day, one honest action, one moment of integrity when quitting would be easier. It's not glamorous, but it's sacred. Sacred because it's real. Sacred because it lasts. Sacred because it doesn't rely on anyone else clapping for you. The most powerful people on earth aren't the loudest. They're the ones who've mastered their consistency, the ones who don't need the world to understand their grind, because they're not doing it for applause, they're doing it because it aligns. And when you live in alignment with your highest self, even in the smallest moments, you start to build something indestructible. You don't need to make massive changes overnight. You need to make one small change and repeat it until your soul trusts you again. You need to become someone who follows through, not someone who fantasizes. You need to get obsessed with the process instead of the prize, because when you master the small, the big takes care of itself. You want to build a legacy? Start with the morning. Start with the next decision. Start with something so small your mind can't argue with it, then do it again tomorrow. You'll look up in 6 months and barely recognize the person staring back at you, not because you transformed in one leap, but because you kept choosing yourself in the quiet. And that, my friend, is how legends are made, one small win at a time. You were not born to beg for permission to exist. You were not created to spend your life tiptoeing around other people's comfort zones just to feel accepted. But somewhere along the way, validation became oxygen. And now you're suffocating under the weight of 1,000 opinions that were never meant to define you. You scroll through life watching others live, and you wonder, am I doing enough? Am I enough? You dress for approval, speak for applause, perform for likes, and the worst part, you don't even know you're doing it. It's so automatic, so ingrained, that seeking approval feels like self-care. But it's not. It's survival mode, dressed in insecurity. And you cannot thrive while begging for affirmation. You can't build a legacy with a voice that shakes every time someone doesn't clap. You've handed over the steering wheel of your life to people who don't even know your middle name. You're letting strangers on the internet determine your value. You're letting silence from friends mean rejection. You're letting one look, one comment, one unfollow, one ignored message unravel your self-worth. But here's the hard truth. Validation is a drug, and you've been high on it for too long. And like every drug, the more you chase it, the less it satisfies. One like turns into needing 10. One compliment turns into needing constant reassurance. One win turns into pressure to never fail again. It never ends. And while you're feeding this hunger, your real self is starving. Your voice muted. Your dreams delayed. Your courage caged. You keep asking for signs that you're on the right path, when you know deep down you're not even walking your path. You're walking the one that looks safest, most liked, most devoted. But applause is not purpose, and popularity is not peace. You think being liked is the goal, but being respected, truly respected, only comes when you stop editing yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown. It comes when you say the hard thing, walk the risky road, wear what you want, speak how you feel, dream bigger than makes others comfortable. That's when the game changes. That's when you go from needing approval to giving yourself permission, from waiting to be seen to standing in the light, unshaken. You don't need them to understand you. You need you to back you. You need to stand in front of the mirror, without makeup, without followers, without achievements, and say, I still choose you. You have to become your own source, because the truth is, no matter what you do, someone will disapprove. No matter how perfect you try to be, someone will criticize. No matter how loud you scream your worth, someone will try to silence you. But their opinion doesn't build your life. Their doubt doesn't pay your rent. Their silence doesn't determine your destiny. You've got to let go. Let go of the need to explain. Let go of the obsession with being liked. Let go of the fear that being different means being alone. Because different is where the power lives. Different is where your legacy begins. You've spent too many years too many days apologizing for being too loud, too much, too intense, too ambitious, too honest. But too much for them is just right for your calling. So take your power back. Rip the mask off. Stop performing. Stop apologizing. Stop editing your soul to fit a script that was never written for you. You don't need to wait for someone to clap before you move. You don't need to explain your passion to people who have no vision. You don't need to tone it down to keep the peace. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to water down the fire inside you just to be more palatable. You are not tea. You are lightning. You are the full volume truth in a whispering world. You are the permission slip you've been waiting for. And if you want to live free, truly free, you've got to stop living for likes and start living in alignment. The version of you who is afraid of judgment cannot walk into the future that was built for the fearless. The doors that are meant for you don't open for your people-pleasing avatar. They open for the bold, raw, honest version of you who stopped caring what the crowd thinks. Because when you stop chasing validation, you start attracting respect. When you stop needing to be understood, you start becoming undeniable. And when you stop looking outside to feel worthy, you unlock the wild, unstoppable power that's been buried inside you all along. And from that place, you don't need anyone to clap for you. You'll already be too far ahead to hear them anyway. Most people don't live. They react. They wake up not with direction but with noise. Their alarm doesn't signal purpose. It signals panic. A flood of notifications, messages, expectations. And before they even take their first conscious breath, their day is already spoken for. They're not living. They're surviving someone else's schedule, running to inboxes, drowning in demands, sprinting on autopilot with no map, no compass, and no idea where they're even going. And the saddest part, they've normalized. They've accepted chaos as a fiddle, burnout as normal, exhaustion as identity. But here's the truth. Living without intention is dying in slow motion. Every day spent without clarity is a day you trade away for nothing. Every action taken out of obligation instead of alignment is a withdrawal from your spiritual bank account. And one day, you wake up broke, emotionally, mentally, spiritually broke, and you wonder what happened. But it's not a mystery. It's not some curse. It's not the world out to get you. It's just this: you stopped choosing. You let life happen to you, instead of happening to life. You let external noise drown your internal truth. But not anymore. Today is the day you remember, you are not powerless. You are not a bystander. You are not some passive passenger in the car of your life. You are the driver, and drivers make decisions. They pick the destination. They control the pace. They know where to stop and when to keep going. Intentional living isn't about having the perfect morning routine. It's not about color-coded planners or Instagram-worthy habits. It's about choosing, consciously, daily, fiercely. It's about asking yourself before every yes, is this aligned with the life I'm building? It's about creating before consuming, leading before responding, centering yourself before handing yourself away. It's looking at your calendar, your relationships, your rituals and saying, do these reflect who I am or just who I've been told to be? Because if you don't define your life, the world will do it for you. If you don't guard your hours, someone else will fill them. If you don't say no to the wrong things, you'll never have room for the right ones. Living with intention means taking radical ownership, not just of your goals, but your energy, your peace, your presence. It means putting your phone down and picking your soul up. It means choosing rest before burnout, depth before speed, alignment before achievement. Because achievement without intention is a trap. It looks good on the outside, but it rots you from within. You climb ladders that lead nowhere. You win trophies for games you didn't even want to play. You wake up successful and still feel empty. That's what happens when you chase without checking in. That's what happens when you perform instead of align. But when you start living with intention, everything the same day looks different. The same to-do list becomes sacred. You stop wasting your energy on things that don't move you. You stop giving pieces of yourself to people who haven't earned access. You stop saying yes out of guilt and start saying yes out of truth. And the best part, it doesn't take some massive overhaul. It just takes one decision. I will no longer live on default. That one line, if you own it, can change your entire life. Because from that moment forward, you begin to move differently. You choose what you feed your mind. You decide what voices you allow in your space. You stop being available to chaos. You build boundaries not as walls, but as invitations, inviting only what aligns. You become aware of your patterns, aware of your energy, aware of your distraction. You start catching yourself mid-scroll and asking, Is this helping me? You begin questioning your commitments, your habits, your pace, not to feel guilty, but to feel free, because true freedom is intentional. It's not random, it's not accidental, it's designed. You don't stumble into peace, you create it. You don't randomly land in purpose, you direct yourself toward it. And it starts now, not with a grand declaration, but with a quiet shift. A shift that says, today I choose to show up for my life, not for someone else's expectation, not for validation, not out of fear, but out of truth, because your life is not a rehearsal. It's happening, right now, this minute, these hours, this breath. So how you live it matters, what you say yes to matters, what you tolerate matters, what you prioritize matters. Don't hand your days away to people, apps, habits, and schedules that do nothing for your soul. Reclaim your time, reclaim your rhythm, reclaim your reason, and if something doesn't serve you, release it. You're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself, you're allowed to redesign everything, because this is your life, and no one else can live it for you. Let's stop talking theory and start talking transformation, because all this insight, all this reflection, it means nothing without action. You can't scroll your way into a new life. You can't think your way into discipline. You've got to move. You've got to commit. You've got to make the decision that this time you're not going to let your momentum die in the graveyard of good intentions. You don't need a new year. You don't need Monday. You need today, and you need a challenge, not to prove anything to the world, but to prove something to yourself, that you can do hard things, that you can stay focused, that you can silence the noise and build something sacred. And that's why this chapter isn't just words, it's a call to war. The war against your distraction, the war against your excuses, the war against the diluted, distracted version of you that's been running the show for far too long. This is your 30-day focus challenge. 1 month. No gimmicks, no cheat codes, no shortcuts, just you, your will, and a promise. A promise to yourself that for the next 30 days, you will be different. You will choose clarity over chaos, vision over validation, purpose over passivity. And here's how it works. You start with a simple question every morning. What one thing can I do today that moves my life forward? Just one thing, small or big, but intentional. Every day, for 30 days, you do something that serves your growth. You don't skip, you don't delay, you don't overthink, you act, and more importantly, you track it. You write it down, you build proof, you show yourself, line by line, that you can be consistent, that you can trust your own word again. And as you do this, you'll feel it, the shift. The days will stop blurring together. The guilt will stop controlling your mornings. The anxiety will stop hijacking your night, because you're finally taking control. Not all at once, but one small act of defiance against your old patterns, repeated daily. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's meditating, maybe it's walking, planning, stretching, creating. Whatever it is, it's yours. You're not following someone else's blueprint. You're building your own. You're reclaiming the minutes that used to slip through your fingers and turning them into bricks for your foundation. But hear this loud. It will not be easy. You'll be tempted. Tempted to skip. Tempted to quit. Tempted to justify your comfort. The world won't stop being loud just because you decided to be focused. Your triggers won't disappear. Your phone won't stop lighting up. Your habits won't magically vanish. But you're not doing this because it's easy. You're doing this because you're ready to stop watching your potential rot while you scroll through someone else's highlight reel. Ready to stop fantasizing and start building. Ready to look in the mirror and finally feel proud of the person staring back. And if that's you, if you're done being the almost disciplined, the almost ready, the almost committed, then commit right now. Make the promise. Say it out loud if you have to. For 30 days, I choose me. Say it until it sinks. Write it where you'll see it. Set alarm. Create rituals. Cancel the things that compete with it. Protect the container like it holds your future. Because it does. Because in 30 days, You're not just building a habit, you're resurrecting belief. You're proving to yourself that you are capable. You're not weak, you're not lazy. You've just been misaligned, overextended, underboundaried, but not anymore. These 30 days, they're yours. And when you come out the other side, and you'll be carrying something stronger than motivation. You'll be carrying evidence that you can follow through, evidence that you don't need permission to be powerful, evidence that you are not your past failures, but your current choices. That kind of belief, it's unshakable, and from that place there is no limit to who you can become. You're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping someone gives you a reason. You've created your own, so take the first step, make the first mark, begin the first day, and then do it again, and again, and again, because when focus becomes your fuel, everything changes. You become danger, not to others, but to the parts of you that used to settle. You become unstoppable, and not because everything gets easier, but because you've finally decided to stop giving up. This is your 30-day focus challenge, and when it's done, so are your excuses. There comes a moment where you look around at your life, the choices you've made, the routines you've settled into, the dreams collecting dust, and it hits you. Not with rage, not with fear, but with sorrow, a quiet ache in your chest that whispers, "This is not who I was meant to become." And for the first time, you realize it was never about talent, never about time, never about luck. It was about attention, energy, focus, and how you spent it every single day like it didn't matter, like you had forever. But you don't have forever, you have now. You have this hour, this breath, this choice. You were not born to sleepwalk through life, to nod politely while your soul screams for more. You weren't meant to live on pause, waiting for permission, waiting for motivation, waiting for some cosmic sign. You are the sign. You are the miracle. You are the thing you've been searching for in books, podcasts, posts, and prayers. And the second you turn inward, the second you say no more excuses, no more distractions, no more delay, the entire universe shifts, because when you focus on you, everything else starts to change. Your posture straightens, your voice sharpens, your energy elevates. People feel it, the room feels it, you feel it. That's the moment the old you begins to die, the hesitant you, the scattered you, the tired, reactive, doubting, shrinking version of you, gone. And what rises from the ashes? Not perfection, not some flawless superhero, but someone real, focused, intentional, alive. So if you feel like breaking down, good. That means your breakthrough is close. If you're trembling, good. That means you're finally standing for something. And if your heart is pounding right now, then listen. That's not fear. That's your future calling. Answer it. You've heard the words. You've felt the shift. Now you have a choice to click away and go back to the scroll, back to the noise, back to the comfortable chaos that numbs you, or to do the one thing most people never will: follow through. Because motivation fades, emotions pass, but decisions shape destinies. And right now, in this moment, you have a decision to make. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Will you keep living distracted, leaking energy, time, and dreams into everything that doesn't serve you? Or will you become the kind of person who honors their focus like it's sacred? Because it is. The world doesn't need more content. It needs more commitment. More people showing up for themselves like their lives depend on it. Because they do. So here's your call. Subscribe not just to this channel, but to your growth, your silence, your discipline, your evolution. Because we're not here to entertain you. We're here to awaken you, to remind you of the fire you forgot you had. So if this message hit you, if you felt seen, called out, and called higher, don't just watch and walk away. Join the tribe of the focused. Click the next video. Keep learning, keep sharpening, keep building the life that's been waiting on you to show up. Because the old, the distracted, drained, overextended version, let them go. Right here, right now. You're stepping into a new era, one of clarity, of consistency, of quiet power that doesn't beg to be noticed, because it's too busy building legacy. And if no one told you today, we see, we believe in you, and we're not letting you fall back asleep. So subscribe, not for us, for you. Click the next video, then get back to work. Because the version of you 5 years from now, they're watching, and they're begging you. Don't stop now. Focus, follow through, finish what you started.